Okay, I think now it's working, eh? All right, well, I guess I'll get started. The point of the stream today is I'm gonna be making this. Oh, I think maybe it should be in 4K. Maybe that's why. Whatever. This will work fine. Anyways, okay. Mic check. My mic is working. Uh, Today we're gonna be making a centaur sculpture, such as this. Centaur sculpture is basically a mix of processes. So this is a rendering, still image rendering of a photogrammetry scan I made of a building out here in Discovery Park in Seattle. And I ran basically 100 images I took of the building through a photogrammetry software called Agisoft Metashape, which is right here. And and what the program did was basically triangulated points, similar points between the images, and can basically sense depth when there's enough overlap between two images or more. There's this effect called parallax where things further away move less, things closer move more, and it's through that basic property that the computer can basically detect the shape of an object. Um, and so I like that idea. It's like kind of automation based. Uh, uh, but I also like the idea of intervening and adding some manual strokes to it, and that's what these are. So we're today mainly going to be in VR painting these things, which I don't really have a name for. I've been calling them growths because they look kind of organic and they're really fun to make. So that's enough talking. Let's get started. So this is a very raw scan. You see there's a lot of aberrations. If I go over here, I've turned on my cameras so you can see. Let me make myself a little smaller. Um, oh, hey, Prashant. Wow, dude. uh, yeah, this is a scan of it's of a building by the lighthouse at the tip of Discovery Park. So again, I went to the same spot that this original image was from. I'd say like January of this year, but this is pretty recent. And I you can see it took a bunch of images, about what's it say, um, 176 images here. I just walking around it, and if I did a full circle, I would get a pretty good scan. But I kind of like the fact that I don't get good scans, um, and I like the places where the program glitches out. Anyway, so let's export this. Um, and by the way, you can see these are composed of points. I could export a point cloud, but I'm actually going to export just the mesh. Export model. Um, let's create a folder. Lighthouse one, and save that. This is going to be a pretty big mesh. We're actually going to bring it into Blender first before bringing it into Medium. So let's do that. Here I have basically a render project that I've pre-made, since I do the renderings in all the same project. Um, I can just duplicate this. Let me save a copy to Lighthouse 1. Save as. Oh shit, wait, no. That was the wrong one, I believe. Yeah, I don't know how that happened. I have a lot of folders. Okay, wait, let me import this model. It's gonna take a second. Yeah, sorry, I have not been looking at the comments. Yeah, I can basically I set up this macro so I can like zoom in um, while I'm recording. Okay, I know why. Okay, so here it is. Press 0. Let's just rotate this around. Set origin to the mass. Why did it do that? I'll just set the origin manually. So you can see here, I want to get rid of some of this junk before I bring it into VR because otherwise it just get in my way. Yeah, fancy camera setup has returned. So see if my computer can handle this. There's a lot of triangles in this mesh, as you can see. Let me just get rid of those. If I go up to here, no. I want to see the info statistics. So in this mesh, there are about 1 million triangles. So when I import it into media, I'm just going to decimate it in unsavory ways. And I want to get rid of some triangles and simplify the model before I bring it in, just so it's not quite as messed up. So let's get rid of some of this stuff. X to delete. That's one thing about Blender that I had to learn is that like X is delete. It's kind of weird. It's one of those oddities that hung around from when Blender was super weird, which is pre version 2.8. This is version 2.9 I'm running. Nice. So I don't want to get rid of all the splotches. I kind of like them, but just when they're in front of where I'm going to draw, then they can be a little obtrusive. Like this big glob. I'm going to get rid of this guy. I have 2 viewers. Hello, second viewer. I know one of them is Prashant. The other one is probably my mom. Supporting the lone streamer. Okay. Camera fell asleep. Oh, my camera's dying? What do you mean? Dang it, I'll be right back. I gotta fix my camera. Okay, camera's going off. Okay. Hopefully that fixed it. It's good enough. I don't want to spend too much time here because the cool stuff's all in VR, you know? Yeah, that's the majority. Oh, here's yeah, that big glob there. Let's get rid of these guys. Just the majority of them. Okay. And I recently discovered this cool lasso tool, which I like. Allows you to do little amoeba-shaped selections. Oh, hello, viewers. I'm just getting ready for this VR editing really quick. This is a mesh I'm going to work with. And then I'll pretty soon export this from Blender and then import it into Medium where I'll be working most of the time. Alright, man, let's frickin'... No, wrong one. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Yeah, and I haven't decided what I'm going to draw here yet, so this is going to be kind of interesting. I'm inspecting it, and I think I could do something with jumping between the houses. I think that'll be interesting. I want to get rid of this clump, and then we'll jump into VR. Just don't like this. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Okay. And might as well clean up these little gnats. I don't know what to call them. Gosh, my camera is not cooperating. I hope it doesn't do this forever. It wasn't doing this yesterday when I tested it out. Might have to fix that in a second. Okay. So let's export this because this will be, actually no, we have to decimate it first. Let's find a decimate modifier, and decimation is basically the act of, oh my god. My camera's still good though. I keep on getting these notifications. Decimation is the act of like reducing the number of triangles in a scene or in an object. So here I did a 0.4, so it's now 40%. Let's export this object, lighthouse one, decimated. Let's make sure selection only, and definitely to apply modifiers. Okay. So once this is unloaded, I'm gonna get my VR headset ready. Go over here. Nice. Oh. I'm so clumsy. Yeah, like the house, the right house has a hole for the left wall, like a space hammer. Sure, Kush coming out. That'd be cool. Yeah, I've thought about. I mean, I typically display my work as a still image, but I've always liked when you can embed like a GLTF file or something, or use Sketchfab and have an embedded iframe with the object in it that you can spin basically in the web page. The idea of hiding something in an object is cool, but you would have to be able to allow someone to interact with it rather than just look at the still image. Alright, mate. Okay. Just gonna close out some steps. Okay. So now is when we start with this cool idea, which is you'll be able to see what I'm gonna see for modeling, ideally. Okay, so here you see my paddles, right? Let me fix that because you don't want to see my perspective. You want to see the perspective of... Oh, actually, let's load the right file first. Yeah, there we go. So that is the whole point of streaming, really, because I figured out how to do this, and then I was like, now you can see me actually work. It's pretty good. I can bring it close. Bring it far. It's pretty sick. Nice. I think this is going to be really good. So I'm going to save this as a new painting. Let's call this. You can't see the keyboard, it's actually right below. Let's call this Two Houses. Okay. Can you see where we're looking from in there? Let me see. Get this closer. So in the headset, I actually see the stream chat and I get a preview, so that I can sort of see comments if you guys comment. Let me add sculpt. Good. Photogrammetry. So for some reason it's not showing up. 1 second. Why aren't you showing up? Okay, I see what I did wrong. So I'm gonna add the object. This takes a second to import. Oh, there it is. So you can see, let me try and show the camera. There it be. And like you're probably wondering what all these like white, horizontal, vertical, XYZ things are, and I have not quite figured out what it is, but all I know is that when you import a mesh, which is made of triangles, Medium converts it to this thing called an SDF, which is a sign distance function. It basically means the model is like a 3D shape. So the first thing I like to do is actually resize it because the import is this big. And I just need to manipulate this scale so it's a little bit bigger. Much bigger. That's something I can actually work with. And the other thing I gotta do is make sure I'm working in a new layer. Yeah. So this is gonna be the layer that I actually work in, but I also need to clean up. Oops. I need to clean up this mesh. I gotta make sure to bring this up because typically it worked right here. It's a little out of frame, but I just want to make sure it's up here. Let me just clean this up. So these white specks aren't everywhere. This is also much lower resolution model. Again, that's because when I import it, it has to go through the multiple conversion processes to make it an SDF, and then also decimate it so it's lower quality, and they get rid of the textures. I think they convert it to vertex textures, which is not, or the process they use isn't really good. This tool is really just meant for drawing. Nice. Okay. Now we can actually start drawing. I'll try and sit this way so then you can, for some reason it's not focusing on me. It's fine. I definitely do a lot of experimentation early on. Make sure this is good enough res. Just an idea, but it kind of obscures the. Let me just see what happens when I paint it. Here I'm using a spray paint tool. And it acts like it sounds like it acts, which is as if I had a can of spray paint in my right hand and I'm just spraying on. And I can change, of course, the color first, and then change the density, and then the hardness of the edge. I also make this super big and just work right here. It's really cool when I have it scaled up big. I just feel like I'm in the space. I think it's one thing VR is really good for, is making you feel different sizes. Make you feel really big or really small. But either way, it's really a cool experience. Colors and the color, I don't know. I like mixing a rainbow palette together. It makes me think of chromatic aberration, which is the phenomenon with lenses in just classical photography, where the edges of hard light refract at different speeds through the density of glass in your lens, and they create this rainbow effect, fringing around certain parts of your image. And these are kind of just big chromatic aberrations that way. I'm going to change to a brush. Can you see that? Let me see if you can see that. Nice. Yeah. Okay, so I might not use this, but this is a good experiment. It's kind of wonky. If I were to really work with this, I would add some more things around it. But I think I would need to increase the res of this thing first, so I can. Okay, now my computer will really suffer. I'm gonna look at it from far away. Yeah, it definitely obscures too much. I think I'm just gonna scrap this. It's going nowhere. Let's not look at that. Okay. What can we do here? Another tool I use in medium palette is this, I don't know if you can see this option, but it's the surface tool. So let me see. Basically, wherever I point, it's almost like a laser, and it generates this foam sculpting material wherever I'm pointing. And so you can get, and it automatically centers the center of the shape to the surface of wherever you're pointing. Imagine connecting these two buildings. Maybe there's one color coming from this side and another, another coming from this side. And they can grow and meet. It looks like a snowman right now. I like that. I don't like this lump in the middle, but I think these starter shapes are good. Let me bring my brush size down. Brush size. I'm gonna increase the res of everything here. That way we can get more detail. I'm gonna share this. Sorry, I'm on my phone. I'm liking this effect a lot, actually. It's the right amount of clumpiness. Almost looks like blood clots in a dark way, but also just looks like growth on top of growth, which is sort of what I'm doing with these houses anyways, just adding layers and layers. Increase more. I want to keep this window clear for sure. You can't see that, but this window clear. I think that'll be, since I imagine I'll render from this perspective, just want to make sure that there's some grounding element, so it's not just covered in either aberrations or my drawings. So there has to be something that I can hold on to. Oh, that's really nice. Wow. Let me go even smaller and just start adding details. I think I got the macro of it. Nice. Let me just color these just so I can differentiate easily. Good. Okay. Let me go back to my brush. By the way, there's a bunch of tools in here. I don't know if you can see. Yeah. Clay is the additive process. It's also, you can swap between the subtractive clay, which is just delete. Paint is what I was just using here. Smooth is if you want to take a rough terrain and kind of average it out. I don't use this very often because I like the roughness. These are all for like moving part of the sculpture around. This one's actually kind of fun to play with. Inflate. Let me see if I can show that does. Let's see. Let me make this bigger. Wherever I'm pointing, sort of like a balloon, inflates it. I don't use it because, again, it sort of gets rid of the detail and the cracks and crevices, which I really like. I'm looking over here because I can look at a preview of what is being shown on the Twitter. Not the Twitter, Twitch. Let's see what other tools. Swirl does what you think it does. Really mess it up. That itself is pretty cool, actually. I almost like that more. I wasn't going to use this tool. That's really nice. Let me duplicate this layer so I can at least save it. Go back to my swirl tool. Never actually used this tool before. I mean, on a project like this. Wow. Damn. Wow. I really like that. Let's see if I can spread it out a little more. How big can I make this brush? Oh, that really slows down the rendering, doesn't it? That is awesome. Okay, we're gonna stick with that. I think I'll work with that. I might do a little smoothing on some of these. I love this like little moment here. Oh, am I blocking myself? This little swirl, the green swirl that looks like a question mark. That is sick. Nice, nice. Mm-hmm. Okay. Go back to my clay tool. I'm gonna switch off that. Switch off to my normal brush, which I can draw the air like that. And let's start adding some details. The orbs and add color to these. Like the idea of these little like berries almost. Little nuggets. Hidden, speckled. Because one uniform thing is not, I don't know, it doesn't have like a story to it. Almost looks like it's manufactured. But when you add like little, this detail and grit and wear and tear, that's when it starts to have some history embedded in it. I like that little, even though it was a mistake, I'll keep it. Check the time. Yeah. Oh, this is really vibrant. Wow. I think I don't want to do too much. I'm gonna add some fringing. I sort of saw what this moment, or this what happened here when I was swirling. I mixed some of the green into the red, which added, or turned the hue a little orange. So I want to add that hue elsewhere in little splotches. So just bring the opacity down. Almost like a patina, or if I was adding wear to a film prop. Just the edges, which might get knocked. I think adding that will make it feel a little more full as a shape, not as flat. Bring this up even a little more. Okay. Save this again, just so I don't mess up, or in case it crashes, which it does, unfortunately. Medium down. There we go. Try and make it so you can see what I'm working on. I'm just doing a little painting, tinaing, adding details. I don't want to do too much. It's the hard part. It's really easy to get carried away because it's so fun. But what you want to do is leave it genuine. Leave it genuine. Let's erase the stuff peeking at the bottom here. I also want to make sure we're not interfering with anything on that side. Cool. Really, it looks like Christmas colors, so that might have to be fixed. Kind of like that. Maybe I like the Christmas colors. I really like what this blue does with this red. It's really vibrant. I don't know if that's coming through on the. Oh, you know what? Because the blue is actually being matted out. Like, that's the trick to this whole thing is that whenever I draw blue, it's invisible. There we go. I'm basically live green screening, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to see. Which this itself is pretty awesome. I like some little performance piece. So I just gotta be careful of blue. I'm also not looking at the wall here. I'm looking at in virtual space. There's like a monitor where I can see the preview. Okay. So I think I'm gonna export two. I don't know if I actually like this anymore. Let me switch back to my previous layer. Yeah, almost like this more. Let me paint this. Maybe that's it. Maybe I don't add. Do I add some of these? Not too many. That looks good. Yeah, that's the right amount of detail. So I don't want to shade it too much. I think I've been in a bad habit of adding too much color, and then it takes away from the forms. If you add just really simple color and then render it with like a matte finish as a kind of texture or reflective index of the model, then it feels more like weirdly organic and artificial at the same time when it has that mix of flatness but also shape. Like the flatness of the color can accentuate the shape basically. Okay. So I'm definitely happier with this. Let me switch toggle between these two. That's with both of them. Yeah, I definitely like the other one more. Or original one. Not that one. Yeah, okay. This is it. This is the one. So what I do now is I gotta export this thing that I just drew. I'm gonna take away the model because I don't actually export this low quality model. I export just this and then overlay this back on to the high quality model. So let's do FBX. Two houses. Export succeeded. All right. So that's the model. Have I been out of focus this whole time? No, I haven't, maybe. So it's actually, you'll see when I switch my screen, this is not clear. It's actually blue. So switch back to this. Let me just save this and quit. Okay. Oh, I'm back. So let's open up our Lighthouse blend again. This time we're going to import the FBX file. Let me turn on these things again. Nice, nice, nice. Import FBX. FBX is like, as I understand it, a more modern OBJ file type. You can store more in an FBX file, like animation. I use it just because it's a more modern format. I should just be exporting it as OBJ. No, we actually want to go to houses. And this will take a second to import. When I input the FBX, it is without texture, so we have to add that manually. It's a pretty simple way to do that. Oh, wrong one. And this is actually the hardest part, is realigning the shape to the model. And this is always a headache. I have not found a good way to do it. If someone knows a good way, I would love to hear it. Let me just add the color now. It's really as simple as adding first a material, which by default is a principled BSDF. Go Shift A, search, attribute, type in manually vertex colors. Spelled incorrectly. Drag it to the base color. There we go. Close that. I like to bring down the specular. If you'll notice, if I add a specular, it'll look really shiny, plasticky. I bring it all the way to the other end. Bring the roughness up. Make it really almost like color falls into it. It just soaks up all the light. Which if I could make something in real life, like with that texture, that would be very cool. It's almost like felt. So the first thing I should probably do is actually make sure the house is how I would like it. As in level. First thing I try and do is get the scale of this thing about right, which is always one of the trickier things to do. If I was smart, I would make like registration marks within this model itself. Like I would register, oh, the edge of this building or the edge of this window. But I don't. I kind of like this process. It's like fitting a jigsaw. I mean, I don't like it, but it's one of the slower parts where I can actually like think and look at every bit of the model. Forces me to, at least. Get this to hook around the edge. I think that's what it did originally. Looking pretty good. I like this moment. I'm not sure if I actually drew it like this, but this is kind of cool. It's like crashing through. It looks like I might have done that in real life or in the medium. Yeah, yeah. Uh, GZ. It's getting somewhere. I think. Oh yeah. Man, that's looking pretty good from this distance. So this looks like rendered, or with the camera. Come on now, please. Camera clipped out. What? Oh, what's wrong? Please work. Let me see if I can. Fix it with zoom. Hello? Hello? Weird. Okay, well, we won't use the camera then. Hmm. It's a little bit. They lifted too much right there. Correct. Yeah. It's looking pretty good. Okay, well, that's good enough to render. So let's render it. I usually render in 4K. RGB, no alpha, just PNG. Uh, I do have my, um, yeah, denoising set to optics. So it should be pretty clean. Let's just see. We gotta watch it render together. Okay, this is almost done rendering. I have no idea what just happened. I don't know how to get back to where I was, but I can tell by this progress bar at the bottom that we're almost done rendering. This is probably going to go on a little longer because after rendering the tiles, I actually have to go back and denoise the tiles, um, which takes a second. Mm. One thing I might do as well later on is that the color here is not as vibrant as I want it to be, so I might just uniformly boost the color. Sure, I can do it in Blender too. Okay, where did it go? Make it this. Not what I meant to render. Okay. I think I've got to restart. I think I messed it up. But essentially what we'll do is basically take this image, render it out. I won't bore you guys and make y'all watch rendering, but this is essentially what we're doing. And I might actually affect the light. And I realize the light was a little low. The angle is a little too wide. I'm missing my bottom plane. That's weird. It's all sorts of weird. Now, one thing I realized, I forgot to turn off the decimation modifier. So I don't want the, might as well just turn it off for the viewport too. Might go back and edit this. I guess that's fine. Hmm. Maybe the light is too strong, in fact. Let's render this. Almost there. Okay. Nice. There we go. And that's almost a completed image. I just color edit it in Lightroom a little bit. Wow. I like that one. Okay, well, I don't have much else to say or show about this process. Uh, Thanks for watching, I guess. And if you have any questions, I'll probably post this video on YouTube as a sort of walkthrough of my workflow, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about what are other tools I use, what other techniques I use to generate these sort of things. And if someone wants, I can do a whole walkthrough of how to actually generate this photogrammetry model. It's pretty straightforward. But yeah, thanks for watching. I am signing off. Goodbye.